Bladder stones in dogs and cats can be really painful and cause swelling, and they're really quite common. Nicole, what should pet parents be looking out for?
Okay, so the classic signs of a bladder stone are an increased frequency in urination, so going to the toilet more often, and then that often strains, so having trouble passing urine. I think another thing pet parents will notice is some blood or a change in odour in the urine. And lastly, they're often licking their genital area.
Right. And how can we tell the difference between bladder stones and other UTIs and infections?
Yeah, and I'd say UTIs would be more common, but it's actually really difficult to be 100% sure whether it's a bladder stone or a UTI. Even as vets, we need to do more tests, so we often do x-rays, ultrasounds.
And what makes some dogs more prone to them than other dogs?
Yeah, so there are some factors with dogs that will make them more prone. We have genetics, so we've got some breeds that are prone to bladder stones. We've got Dalmatians and their urate stones, miniature schnauzers and the struvite stones. And then other dogs will have like an individual variation. So you might have a tucked up vulva, basically anything that will allow an infection in, and then that can form a bladder stone as well. But for me, the biggest factor would have to be diet. So if we think that a lot of the kibble or ultra processed diets, they'll be like 6 to 20% at the most in hydration, compared to a fresh food diet that would be 60 to 80%. So it's asking the pets a lot to make up for that by drinking, and a dilute or an adequately concentrated urine is one of the best mechanisms of defense against bladder stones. And then the other thing with the fresh food diet is I think we have to think about the whole system. So you're putting food through the tummy, and then it goes liver, kidneys, and out through the bladder. And if you're creating inflammation in the body, a leaky gut with an ultra-processed diet, that inflammation can then translate through the body. So a nice fresh food diet for me is the ultimate natural defense against bladder stones.
Okay. What are some of the treatments?
Yeah, so if your pet actually gets a bladder stone, we've got a few options. Small, tiny ones will sometimes just do a pH altering diet or even some supplements. If they get a larger bladder stone though, we need to either surgically remove it, so it's called a cystotomy, we're opening the bladder, or there's even some places that'll do a technique called lithotripsy, which is like a shockwave blasting the bladder stones.
So clearly prevention is so much better than cure. What are some of the things that pet parents should be doing just to keep an early lookout so we can get onto it nice and quick?
For me, information is power. I think as a pet parent, if you can know your pet's standard drinking habits, urinating habits, things like that, that's really beneficial communication. Do they go through 1 bowl of water a day or 2, and are they suddenly drinking 3 or 4? Do they urinate once or twice on the walk, and this time they did it 16 times? Those early sort of signs really help us get onto things early and not have a real issue with it.
Okay, it's a bit tough. I walk 4 boy dogs sometimes, so there's 16 P's done in the first 10 minutes. But
True.
that's just the boy dogs. Okay, so wonderful fresh food diet. That's what my boys eat. So if you'd like to learn more about the big dog pet foods complete and balanced raw food diet, because that's very important as well, must be complete and balanced.
100%, and that is really important because that can affect pH, which is everything, so it has to be complete.
Lovely. So visit their website. Thanks, Nicole.
Pleasure.
Always a pleasure.